This camera here, the Red V-Raptor ST. Wow, what a name. You know, I'm pretty sure that Red has gone out, they've hired some of the coolest teenagers, they said, look, I want you guys to come up with a name for this camera because the V-Raptor ST, it doesn't get any better than that. The only thing I think is a little bit lacking here, they had an opportunity and they just completely failed. They could have made this look like a Borg cube, but instead, it looks like something, well, square. Nice though. But here's the really big thing about this camera. It can do 8K at 24, 25, 30, 50, 60, 100, and 125 frames per second. That's just staggering. And in 2K, it can go up to 60 frames per second. Sorry, 600 frames per second. But 17 stops of dynamic range. 17 stops of dynamic range. That's astonishing. They would have had me with 8K 30 at 17 stops of dynamic range, and the video is 16-bit RAW. This is just an astonishing camera, but it is going to set you back a little bit. The Red Raptor, as you can see right here from different angles, you don't need to see my little ugly mug here, so I'll turn that off. But this camera is going to start at $24,500 US.
This may be controversial or may not. I'll take the Raptor at 25K.
Why?
Over the Blackmagic at 6K. One, it has to do with form factor. For me, it's not just about the image. Like the big thing of the Raptor, obviously, is 8K 120 frames per second. But anybody, which I know, you know, your channel is about the ordinary filmmaker, which obviously $25,000 is a little bit high. So the thing I want to say is that with the reason why is because of the form factor. It's just the fact that it's a lot more simple and easier to get to. I like the fact that they have phase detection autofocus built into this camera compared to Blackmagic that doesn't have it. And Red Code Raw is terms of what you can do in terms of control is insane with Red Code Raw. Now, for anybody that may be dreaming about this camera, just keep in mind with Red cameras, if you want use the full width, you better shoot at the full resolution and be prepared to shoot at the full resolution, meaning you better be prepared for shoot at 8K.
Okay,
because
what does this
anytime
mean?
you drop, that means if you drop resolution, it drops. If you drop resolution, so every time you drop, so if you drop the 6K, it goes to Super 35 from the 8K format. You drop the 4K, it's like micro four thirds crop, and then so in 2K, I think it's even less than Super 16 if I remember correctly.
Sorry, what I meant to say is, what is the impact on storage and your cost? Because I imagine storage costs at this level is going to be, and I know FOMO is going to be watching this later because he shoots a lot of his stuff in 8K so he can zoom in or punch in later.
Yeah, I do it too. It's on the R5, which I have over here. I shoot on 8K on that quite a bit. Yeah, it takes up a lot of storage space. Now, Red's compression is actually not that bad. They got different compression options. So they got an HQ, an MQ, and an LQ. And I can tell you, most people are probably going to who do get this camera are probably going to shoot in the LQ format. And I'll say you could probably get a decent amount of time, probably like 45, 50 minutes, which I know some people seems like it's insane, but when you're filming 8K, like when I shoot Canon Raw Light, I'll be lucky to get 40, 50 minutes on a 512 gigabyte CF Express Type B card. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of data, but it's also a lot of information that you can have control over. But these cameras are really aimed for professional productions. Even though it's a small camera, you still need a lot of light with this camera. You're still going to need a crew with this type of camera. But it's very exciting. And I'm really excited, not just for the camera, but what this also means for the future of Canon. Because one of the other things Red announced was that they're producing an adapter for PL mounts that will have an electronic ND filter, which means, well, we don't know for sure if this will work, but Canon could possibly also benefit from this as well and get an electronic ND on, say, the R5, which would be awesome.
One thing I got to go back to is when we were talking about the cost and you know, when you shoot 8K, because I've done it, and you know what, I have a 2 terabytes Angel Bird card, and even when I shoot 8K, I don't care. I don't worry about it. But you know, when I had a Corvette, I didn't complain when I went to the pump and had to put in that 94 octane fuel and said, wow, that's awfully expensive. You at this level, you got to understand your storage costs are going to be huge. But I understand that this is the ordinary filmmaker, but I don't know about you, James, but when I was a kid, I hung Ferraris and Lamborghinis on my wall, and it wasn't, I didn't think, can I afford these? And I think as the ordinary filmmaker or photographer, we're still keenly interested in this technology just from a point of awe or from a point of where is this going next? Is it coming in my direction? So one question I want to reach down to Conrad. And Conrad, we were talking last week how Blackmagic dropped the price of their 12K. It's no longer 12K or 11 something. It's now 6K, $6,000. And I was talking with FOMO earlier today, and he asked me what I thought, and I told him, based on what I told you guys last week, that I thought, you know, if a company drops a price that quickly, it makes me wonder why. Is there something happened? Did they get the price wrong to begin with? Is there a lot of them sitting on the shelves? A year after it's out, you don't usually drop the price that much. And he said, well, I think they're in trouble. I don't think it's selling well. And what do you think, Conrad? What do you think is going on with the Blackmagic? And would you take the Blackmagic or the red V-Raptor? I mean, the name alone. Oh, sorry, I put you on mute earlier when you were typing, so let me take you off mute. Sorry about that. Hold on. Now you're off mute.
There we go. All right. So lots of shenanigans going in the background in the camera industry with pricing, and it's a ball game where marketing often gets involved, and there are a few factors involved. I've seen Canon play the game extremely well against Nikon year after year after year in the corporate field, where Canon just before major events will bring tons of product into Canada and drop the price against Nikon. Nikon would just be dropping their jaw looking at the prices. So there's definitely a lot of strategy involved. I don't think you drop a camera by that much money because it's not selling. I think corporate types that are getting paid by the dollars they bring in are going to be very reluctant to undervalue a product just because they think it's not selling. If you're having a fire sale, there's a bigger problem. We'd have caught wind of that. I think there's probably something slightly more strategic here, where they could be playing for market share somewhere. It could also be that they reassessed and felt they had initially overpriced it, and once the R&D money had been recuperated, they said, okay, now let's just go and take the wind out of the sails of the competition, which is more what I think something like this is. It's like, you think there's something coming down the pipeline, there's an ebb in popularity in the whole segment, and you're now repricing yourself just to kind of get the ball going on sales and people talking about your product again. A lot of people will be unhappy, but when you bought that product, you were happy to pay that price at the time. The fact that it is half the price 6 months later, that doesn't matter. You got your value out of it, so be happy.
If you like this video, well, stay tuned. I've got more of them coming. But keep in mind, this is a pre-recorded segment from my weekly camera news live show, which is every Friday between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if you like covering the news and if you would like to collaborate, well, then join me live Friday nights where you can ask questions and interact with the panelists. And panelists cover a range of the camera industry. We have photo experts and video experts. We have camera news or industry insiders. And once in a while, I have some guests from other channels such as Jordan Drake or Dan Watson. But again, thank you so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. Please don't forget to punch that like and subscribe button, as it really does help my channel grow. We'll see you again soon.